This is Iraj Purmerban, Cal VPP manager. Good morning to you all. I just thought I'll start by saying why we have this webinar today. I was at the National VPPA conference in Grapevine and attended various meetings and workshops and start talking to folks about our mentorship program and mentoring, and everybody sort of asking me question, how we do it in California and that. So I talked to Terry Schulte, Region 9 chairperson, and, we talked it over, and Terry said, why don't we just put it on a webinar and, share it with everybody. So that's where we are. And, I hope you all can see my slides. I have my email address and phone number. And, you can have any questions or concern, comments, you can email it or give me a call after we get done today. Now, the presentation that you see, I share it before with our STM, special team member at STM training, and also some of the slides were shared with our new applicants. In California, we require our applicants that they have an approved mentor from state of California. And that's really critical to have somebody from state of California because sometimes, our protocol might be different than, other regions or other states. So we want them to have and approve STM, a mentor, and they are our mentors are special team members. Basically, the special team member is very parallel to SGE program. All of our STMs are from California VPP star sites, and they go through like training originally, and after that, every 2 years they we sort of go through a refresher, catch up with things that we learn or they learn, and make sure we keep our continuous improvement. So that's as far as with a mentor, who they are. They're a special team member. Mentor, we expect them. They advise applicants through the VPP process. Tell them about their experience. Share, the way they approach VPP. As far as being a new applicant, what we ask them to do is they go to our website and fill out the request form, and I'll show you our website, how it looks like and where the request form is. So after they do that, we receive it here. Wendy Walker, our office support staff, she's sort of gatekeeper on that. She received the request form and forwarded it to me, and I look at it and try to match the best available mentor. There are some applicants, they say who they want to have as a mentor, but not necessarily always take place because that individual, that special team member might have other assignments or mentoring other sites. And recently we start to have a quarterly meeting that we invite our applicants, new applicants and mentor attend and sort of go around the room on a face-to-face meeting and talk about their challenges, their status, and their progress. This is how our website looks like. Our webmaster keep changing, our website, how it looks like, but I think that's the way it is. So if you go to partnership program, you should be able to find Cal VPP or Cal VPP star icon there. And if you click on it, you go to Cal VPP star program, which is underlined or highlighted in yellow. If you go there and you start reading it, there is a location. It said mentorship. So you go there you find our request form there, and just have to click on the request form, and a form like this opens up, and a new applicant should fill out all the required field, which has a red star, and the one that is the field that is said briefly describe specific areas you need help with. That's important for us in VPP office to sort of see what they need, what are their challenges, and how a mentor can help, and of course some basic information about the company name, type of business, their contacting information, and all that. So after they fill out this form, they send it to us, we review it, and there might be time and point that I call the applicant rep and ask additional information. Sometimes everything looks fine, and we go from there. It's extremely critical that our new applicants attend a workshop and understand VPP concept. Mentors, they're not there to teach them, to educate them through the entire process. In fact, if you take a look at the last item, it says mentor can assist and guide as time permits. Mentor is not a substitute for site health and safety department. That's really important to share with the applicants, because I have experienced in the past that some applicants, they have high expectation from a mentor. They think they have to go and visit them every other week or once a month and work with them, work with their gaps and so forth. That's not the case. So we tell our STMs or / mentors that make sure you clarify that right at the beginning with the applicants. As far as going back to applicants, they need to identify their gaps and areas that they can get assistance from a mentor. And I don't mind some applicants, they prefer a mentor, and they said, I want to work with this mentor because they're in the same city or they have some business relation is going on. We do our best to put them together, but not necessarily always happen. And in fact, we have a situation right now at City of Stockton that a new applicant was thinking of working with a site that they're a star site also, and apparently the mentor site, they got other things going on, and unfortunately they cannot work together, so I'm looking for another mentor. Moving on, I mentioned about making sure the applicants, they understand the concepts. We try to come up with some free workshop one or twice during the year to try to educate the employers about the VPP program. This is the schedule we did in 2015. And of course, VPPA has been great to have the regional and national conference, so that's another 2 opportunities during the year. So we really encourage them to attend workshops, seminars, and take advantage of it. And we always post our web events, workshops at our website. And in fact, earlier this week we did a reevaluation workshop in Oakland. That was for the existing sites that they're getting ready for their on-site in 2016. We expect our mentors to show the applicants the steps that they have to go through and the value of the process, and of course, come up with a realistic expectation as far as the gaps and workload, because I heard this many times that an applicant or an employer a site get excited and said by end of this year we want to submit our application and so forth, and they rush through things and it doesn't take place or they don't see the values. So we always encourage or request our mentors to sit down with the applicant side, analyze their gaps, and come up with a realistic time frame to get their certification. Mentors, they can assist with the gaps, but again, we always want to make sure the applicant don't misunderstand and don't think the mentors, they're going to be there all the time and get them through the entire process. As I mentioned earlier, we like to hear from mentor and applicant where they are with their VPP journey, because there might be a situation that an applicant cannot work with a mentor, and if we hear that or we know about it, we might be able to switch the mentor and find out how we can help them. Okay, next slide, it talks about mentor responsibilities. That's very critical that, mentors sort of evaluate and validate the site readiness. This is before application submittal, and in fact, at the pre-visit or after pre-visit. Our mentors, we expect them, as I said earlier, work out throughout the process of VPP. One of the things is in the state of California, we perform pre-visit. So we expect our mentor, they discuss that, they go over the pre-visit stage with a new applicant and make sure they work with the person, the other STM that is assigned to perform the pre-visit. And, we had some situation that we had our mentors had to go back and spend some additional time with the applicant site after pre-visit. So, mentor, it's, some other regions or other states, they work up to application submittal. Here in California, we want them to work with them after pre-visit as well and see if they can help them out with something that was identified during pre-visit. And of course, if everything goes well with pre-visit, mentors should sort of give an idea to the applicant side. How is the audit? What is the team audit? How does it work? Talk about the logistics and the complexity of on-site team audit. This slide is sort of summarize or give another prospect of previous slides. We had some, misunderstanding about how our STMs in California or our mentors work with an applicant site. So if you look at the first step, it said request for mentor, and that is done by filling out the request form and turning it in. After we receive that, we match an STM for that applicant site, and they can start working together. So that's the next step. So item number 2, applicant site works with guidance from mentor. And that varies. Sometimes it takes site 6 months. Sometimes it takes 2 years. Sometimes it might take even 4 or 5 years. It all depends on site readiness and the workload and the challenges that a site might have. So after a site submit an application, We review the application. That's number 4. It said application review by VPP office, either myself or one of my staff will review, and there might be a point in time we ask for additional information. And if everything goes well at that stage, then we plan the pre-visit, as I mentioned earlier, by another SDM, not the SDM who mentored the site. The idea here is to bring more set of eyes, and hopefully we give the best we can to our client, our partner, our new partner, who's the new applicant. And at the pre-visit, sometimes things the STM look if they find out that the site is not ready, and if the site is not ready and they need some additional work, let's say they didn't implement their policies or they have some issues with machine guarding and so forth, we expect that the site goes back to their mentor and get some help from them and go through this process again, and hopefully they come back and then the site is ready for on-site team evaluation. I thought I'll just share an example of action item that was generated by Mentor or STM. This is regarding a subcontractor evaluation at the applicant side, and again, this is an example. It said contractor must be pre-screened and authorized, must have IIPP, verify contractor employees are trained. Training is really critical, and of course monitoring of contractor and subcontractors when they are at the site. So who is doing the monitoring? They got to look at the activity of contractor. They should be trained and so forth. But that's an example of an action item or recommendation that a mentor came up with during a readiness survey. And this is another example that relates to accident near-miss investigation. I think it's important to make sure near misses are reported. Employees they understand what is the system, how to report that. Next one is the increased number of near misses. I mean, that's usually a good leading indicator. Again, these are the things that identify or talked over during mentoring with the site, and you can see the rest. Moving on, it's very critical that the applicant rep or VPP coordinator, they just don't be the main or only person who work on action item or the process with the mentor. We always want to have employees and key staff participate in VPP process, and what is more important than following up on action item and recommendations. And the bottom line is VPP, we always say, is all employees program. Everybody has to participate. So we want to make sure our applicants, they go back and share everything they learn from their mentor. And, of course, have employees' teams participate to close up those action items and gap. And back to communication here, communicate, how are things going on with us, so we sort of know as far as it helps us with our scheduling, like how many new applicants we are expecting for next quarter or next year. And also try to help both the applicant and mentor. I think communication is extremely critical, and we started, this is sort of new, to have this quarterly meeting, so we get a chance to sit down face-to-face and talk about progress and opportunities. This is what you're looking at is Cal VPP STAR new applicant survey. We all work on this, especially Ethan was very helpful to develop this. It's basically getting some more information from new applicant sites, making sure, we do the best we can to help them out with VPP process. In other words, they're not wasting their time. Our mentors are not wasting their time. We all are focusing on same thing. So basically, ask some information which is again is a duplicate of information we have from request form, but we touch base on some critical things like if you look at question number 2, it said, do you understand Cal VPP STAR concept and process? So we want to make sure again they attend VPPA conferences or State of California workshops and make sure they are clear. They know it takes some commitment, some resources, some time to see benefits from the process. Next question, I think if you look at number 4, it said, how was the CALVPP concept introduced to management staff and hourly employees? I think that's sort of addressing, or we figured out if the site has a good, effective communication system, and again, VPP coordinator or VPP rep doesn't just do the job by him or herself. Next one is, has a request form been completed, which we already covered it, and you know where that is. Let's see, number 6, have you identify a mentor suitable to your work operation? So if the site has a mentor, they sort of confirm this information. They provide it in this survey form. We send out this form before our quarterly meeting, and I got like maybe 30%, 40% of applicants' information on this form, and it sort of tell me that they're more serious than the other one, that they're seeking VPP. Moving on to next page of this survey, one of the questions said, do you have access to qualified health and safety specialists? That's really important that the applicant site, they have expertise in-house or have access to a consultant, a health and safety professional, and expertise on Title VIII for California, for example. They understand our requirements and VPP process. Next question said, have you conducted a readiness survey of all safety and health program? And we have a checklist at our website, sort of give the applicants a guide to go there and use that as a tool. Again, we don't want our mentor to overload themselves by doing everything for the site. They have to do it. Mentor's role is just show them the rope and the road and how to get there, rather than do the actual work for them. Okay, moving down, it said, were challenges to your health and safety program identified by readiness survey? So if yes, we want to know what are their challenges, whether it was a contractor program or training program or, they don't have a good employee involvement. And, basically this information is going to help us, in Cal OSHA VPP to help new applicant sites. Next item on the same question said, have they been prioritized and communicated to staff? I mean, again, we want to have everybody understand that, they have to participate and pitch in during and after the process, even after the certificate. So we want to make sure that the new applicant side has a way to communicate it to their staff. If they don't have it, then again, we can help them. We can share some of the best practices or communication systems we find at other VPP sites. Do you have a system? If you look at the first question, it said, do you have a system in place to track and follow up on the closure of identified challenges? I think really you all know tracking system is very important to have a good, effective tracking system and have some realistic time frame that, when things get closed. Are local resources, labor, time, funds available and being allocated to address these challenges? Again, we want to make sure whoever fill out this application, they communicated that to get this thing done, you need to put some resources, from labor. Maybe you need to put some more time. Usually that's the case. Time is very valuable to make sure things get done the right way. And, of course, some sites, they have to invest in some of their programs, such as machine guardings and all that. But, again, we want to make sure the new applicant has a good understanding of resources. Have your site undergone a Cal OSHA compliance inspection last 4 years? Whoever is in charge of, or overseeing VPP process, they need to know about site OSHA history, if site has any citations, any pending citation or final citations, and so forth. So these are the question on that. Next one is asking about type of citations and safety order that was violated and so forth. And next question is, have you completed a Cal VPP start application? Again, we might have at the meeting one or two sites that they submitted their application, but they're going through their pre-visit status, so we want to make sure we have everybody data. We know when they submitted and all that. If they haven't submitted, well, it's good to they estimate completion date that when they're going to submit their application. As far as mentor resources, the way a mentor or STM can assist the new applicants or a new site to go through VPP process, these are the ways that we find that mentors, they help a site just by having a teleconference. We had some mentors, they had a teleconference with key staff at the site, like plant manager, maintenance manager, EHS manager, or it gets to a teleconference with a safety committee member or VPP committee and so forth. So that has been done in the past. Mentors, they can provide resources by, communicating via emails. That has been done a lot. And, of course, emailing documents. There's tons of documents that our star sites don't mind to send it to a new applicant site. So we encourage our mentors to share them if that's okay with their management. Some of our mentors has gone out there and has done various kind of tour or of the site, sort of get an understanding of the site, the culture of the site, find out the challenges, and then go back in a more formal way and plan a on-site visit. We had some visits from not too long ago from a couple of our mentors. They went out there, together. They were STMs, and they decided to go and do a day or two readiness survey at the site, and I think everything worked well, and they, of course, identify some action items for the site. But again, that's something between mentors and the applicant side. It depends how available the mentors are, and go from there. One thing I just want to say, not all mentors, they can go and do all of these things, like tour the site and visit the sites and do an on-site. So it's really depend on their schedule. But the key thing is, I mentioned earlier, the communication is really critical. Like, let's say an applicant site is really want to have somebody go out there and do a readiness survey or a mock audit, whatever you call it, but their mentor doesn't have time or expertise even, or whatever it could be. We want to hear it. That's why we think that the quarterly meetings are going to be beneficial for applicants, Cal VPP, and of course our mentors. We had our mentors that attended the staff and employees meeting. Having an applicant come to their site and attend their meetings and see how they conduct their meetings, how often it is, how they capture the minutes, how do they communicate the minutes to other employees, what are the topics of the minute, and so forth. So that's, again, it's something, the applicant has to identify in the beginning that, okay, we don't have a very good protocol for our safety meetings and so forth. So we all know, and a mentor knows that they can help them with, conducting safety meetings. Assessment and evaluation, there are different protocols, different ways, and our mentors have done them in the past. And recently, as I mentioned earlier, we have a checklist posted at our website. It's a great tool to use it, and sometimes our mentors, they just download that and sort of go there and spot check a couple of those items on the checklist. But the key thing is to make sure applicants understand that it takes some commitment, some resources to go through the process, submit the application, and keep up with continuous improvement. This is a list of documents that our mentors shared with new applicants, like statement of commitment, VPP application required that the senior management has to sign a statement that they're committed to VPP. That's not a problem. Mentor can email it to them. We had some union sites, they want to have like a format or a letter, a sample letter, how their union should endorse the program. So mentor, they send a copy of their endorsement letter, application and forms. The only information that is public information is VPP application. As you all know, if you're a mentor or STM, our work is 100% confidential. The only segment or part of VPP is not confidential is the application. We had some mentors that they share their application with the new applicant sites. That's fine. That's a way to do it. But again, the site has to go back and tailor and modify it for their culture, their business, and their industry. And of course, forms. There are a variety of forms. As you know, we all know, health and safety professionals. We have tons of different forms for different application according to safety standards. So our mentors sometimes they share their hot work permits and so forth with the site. That's another way of helping or being a resource to new applicant site. Policies and management system. Again, VPP is a partnership program, is sharing everything. So some of our mentors, they share some of their policies, health and safety policies, and of course management systems that works for them. But again, applicant has to use them as a reference and develop their own policies and management system. Title VIII programs, we had our mentors, they share some of Title VIII programs with a new site, like, for example, confined space and so forth, lockout, tagout. Again, that doesn't take too much time to do that. That can be done by email or at a meeting. But the key thing is for the site is they have to go back, modify it, and of course make sure it's implemented and used by their employees after they get their training on those. Best practices and procedure is pretty much ideas, way. For example, you can have a better engagement of hourly employees, better screening or ways to screen your subcontractor at the site. So these has been shared between mentor and the applicant. Safety status report format, that's a tool we want to make sure, the new applicant sites, they have a way that senior management, they have a status report routinely, and they know what is open, what is closed, so they can decide on their resources and priorities. And, a mentor, we had mentors share that kind of information with a new applicant site. Sample of meeting minutes, that's easy to do, but again, our mentors, they have done a great job to share some of these documents with our new applicants and make them more ready. And really, that's why we emphasize mentoring, because looking at the, let's say last 10, 15 years of VPP history or applicants, and we see that the sites that they utilize their mentor, they work with their mentors closely, they had a better result, whether it was at the pre-visit stage or the on-site team evaluation, the week-long, and in fact with the benefits and result of VPP. So we really didn't have mentorship as a requirement. If you go back, a couple of years, we always encourage that a new applicant has to identify a mentor and all that, but we realize that there's a lot of benefit that sites work with a mentor from the beginning and sort of have a formal mentor. Another thing is we had great SDMs that they were mentoring sites for years. And the sites, for whatever reason, they didn't submit their application and so forth. So by formalizing a mentorship program, we can make sure, an SDM doesn't, waste their time. I mean, State of California has a limited budget, and of course, VPP, there are only few of us for State of California. We can't do everything, we can't mentor an application, so we expect our STMs to participate in mentoring new application, and in fact, recently, I would say we've been working on this policy for a while, but we want to have our VPP star site engage and work with Cal OSHA as much as they can, and mentoring is one of those items that we expect them, and we sort of track each site, each star site in California to see if they have done mentoring, if they have done any workshop, if they have to work with VPPA, they have participated in audits and so forth. So I just want to emphasize that we all work together from beginning, and having a good mentor, it's going to make the job easier for the applicants, for the SDM who perform the pre-visit, and when we go out there, do the comprehensive audit, the on-site team evaluation. It makes the job easier for the applicants and Cal OSHA team. I guess that was my last slide. I think we have time for questions, or Terry, anything, or anybody else has any comments here?
I would just add, that VPPA is here to help and has a lot of resources, and we continue to work with Raj and everybody to help the site. So it's not only about getting the mentor, but making sure you do the workshops and stay educated and those sort of things. That's all I really had to add. Thank you, Raj.
Sure, yeah, and for if there are new applicants or somebody out there wondering about the workshop, we just finished the workshop in Carlsbad on VPP concept, but VPPA Region 9. Terry, you want to give an update? When is the conference for Region 9 and all that? Sure.
So we are having our Region 9 conference in Phoenix, Arizona at the Wild Horse Resort, Sheraton. It's kind of upper Phoenix, I'll call it, up in the hills a little bit, foothills. And that is to take place April 24th through the 26th. And I would just ask anybody who's interested, you can go to our website at region9vpppa.org, and you should have all the information you need there.
Great. Thank you, Terry. Anybody else?
Elijah, how do we get a copy of the deck you just shared?
I think I should talk to Amanda, who is our technical person from VPPA, to do that. I know she mentioned the VPPA is recording this session, so probably she's going to put the slides with the recording. Right, Amanda?
Yes, a recording is going to be sent out as soon as this meeting is over, and you can view that through WebEx. I'm also going to be making a Windows media file if you want it just as a movie file, and then we can definitely send out the PowerPoint after the meeting as well.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Now, let me ask you this, Amanda. Can the recording has the slides as well?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can also link that up with our regional website in addition to national, I would imagine, Amanda, right?
Yep. Once you have the MPEG, you can put it up and do whatever.
Yep. Well, we can post that on the regional website, Region 9 VPPA website.
Great. I guess you don't need me to email you the PowerPoint. You already have that, Amanda, correct?
I don't think that I have the PowerPoint.
Do you want me to email it to you?
Here. So if you send it, then I can send it out to everyone.
Absolutely. I'll do that. Anything else I need to do, or any other question? I guess if not, you all have a wonderful weekend.